with Postecoglou, the situation really is that for someone who is actually a very effective and open communicator before games, not so much after games, because he can, the whole staring at the floor and not really looking at you and growling and for 3 minutes and being a bit irritated and then walking off. That, a lot of people see that. But I see him for sort of 30, 35 minutes before games when he's open, he takes questions from everywhere, takes them on, answers them at face value. But for somebody who's such a good communicator, he's lost control of the message at Spurs. And that whole thing about I didn't cut my ears, I just wanted to hear them chant, and cheer because we'd scored a goal was just a ridiculous attempt to backtrack. It was obvious what he was doing, and it again would be understandable because he's felt under a lot of pressure. He made a substitution that was criticised, and within 5 minutes, the guy he brought on scores. Of course, the goal, sadly for him, is ruled out by VAR, but you can understand why you'd think an openly emotional man, as he admits himself, would think, actually, I do want to give a bit back here. And I do know what I'm doing, and get behind the team. And I think if he'd sort of owned that and kind of been as honest as he has been in other situations, then I think he could have ridden that out. But by sort of backtracking on it, and then a few days later sort of suggesting there's a mole who's leaking information about the team, it just adds to that sense of the manager not being in control of the first team affairs. And when you combine that with the sort of disgruntlement of the fans, which, by the way, is still mostly aimed at Daniel Levy, it's not actually aimed at Postecoglou. He's kind of turned the guns on himself a bit there when he didn't really need to. And then you factor in the sort of rumours you hear about whether one or two of the players are sort of unhappy with the no-nonsense, never compromise approach of all-out attack and, we go for it, that's who we are, that kind of thing. You put it all together and it is very difficult to see how he stays on.